Hey everybody, welcome to the Ox Sports Podcast. I'm your man, Big Book, aka Ox. And before I get started, please do something for me. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you can, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop anything new for you to listen to. Now, I know I'm a little late, but I was at a concert in Detroit on Sunday night. So I didn't get a chance to do anything until now, as far as giving you my thoughts on the Lions game against Tampa Bay Sunday. You know what? It is unbelievable. That game was truly unbelievable. If you didn't look at what the final score was and just looked at the stats, you would have think Detroit won by 21 points. I want to say that this worries me, but it doesn't. It doesn't because Detroit was so dominating in the game. Now, the final score doesn't say so. And I know that that is what matters most. But I don't feel like SOL. SOL, same old Lions. Detroit fans know what that means. I don't feel like that because Detroit was actually dominating in the game. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Statistically. Okay. Jared Goff, 34 for 55, 307 yards. No touchdowns. Problem. Because he had 2 picks. All right. Let's go with the rushing game. Jahmyr Gibbs, 13 carries, 84 yards. David Montgomery, 11 carries, only 35 yards. That's a problem. I'm going to touch on that later. As far as receiving, really, St. Brown had the big game after, being almost basically shut out in the first game. You knew he was going to have a bounce back game. I mean, that's St. Brown. And he did. He did. He had 11 receptions for 119 yards. So he bounced back. Jameson Williams had a good game, 5 receptions for 79 yards. And then basically after that, it was a group of people, 40 and 50 yards. Tampa Bay, man, if you just listen to the stats that I'm about to read compared to what Detroit did, it's unbelievable that Detroit lost this game. I am still like speechless when I look at this stuff. Baker Mayfield went 12 for 19 for 185 yards. That's it. 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 5 times. 5 times. Tampa Bay rushing. Their leading rusher, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, 5 carries, 34 yards. Come on, man. Chris Godwin had a big game, mainly in the first half. I believe all his receptions and yards were in the first half. 7 receptions, 117 yards. That really was the bulk of their receiving. When you break it down and you look at everything in total, it's worse. It's just absolutely worse. Let me tell you. First downs, Detroit 26, Tampa Bay 14. Third down conversions, Detroit 7 for 17. That is not bad. That's okay. You'll like it to be a little higher, maybe 10 for 17, 11 for 17, but you'll take 7 for 17, especially when Tampa Bay is 2 for 10. Right, 2 for 10. Total plays, Detroit 83, Tampa Bay 47. 83, 47. Total yards, Detroit 463. Tampa Bay barely got over 200 yards of total offense. They both had 11 drives. They both had the ball 11 times in the game. Like I said, Detroit had 5 sacks, all by Aiden Hutchinson. Tampa Bay, none. Even though Jared Goff was pressured a lot, that's one thing that Tampa Bay did do. And as you'll hear in a minute, Jared Goff was terrible when he was pressured. Now, we all know quarterbacks, they don't do as well when they're pressured, okay? Understandably. But he was terrible. In the red zone, Tampa Bay was 1 for 2. And this is why Detroit lost the game, because they were 1 for 7 in the red zone. 1 for 7. I honestly don't remember the last time Detroit was that bad. 1 for 7. Under pressure, Jared Goff in that game was 9 for 17 for 117 yards and 2 picks with a 35.3 passer rating. There you go right there. There you go right there. 2 interceptions when you're pressured, and in the red zone, you were 1 for 7. That's on your quarterback. I know people want to blame the offensive coordinator. They want to blame, Dan Campbell for the blunder before halftime. I understand that. But you were 1 for 7 in the red zone. You can't do that. You can't do that. I don't know who you're going to beat when you're 1 for 7 in the red zone. That's absolutely terrible. Terrible. So I looked at it like this. Everybody wants to play the blame game. So let's play the blame game. If I had a percentage, if I had a pie and I was breaking it down into percentage as far as who I would blame, I would say I would give Dan Campbell 20%. 20%. And that's because of the issue before the half. Instead of letting the offense get back on the ball and spike the ball, there was about half of the special teams unit out on the field while the offense was trying to do that. And, Dan Campbell owned up to it. He said that was his fault. He was trying to rush everybody out there instead of giving the offense time enough to spike the ball. He just didn't think that they were going to be able to get on the ball quick enough to spike it. But as you saw, they would have had plenty of time. They would have had 2 or 3 seconds left. That 3 points proved to be important because Detroit couldn't get in the end zone. So it caused Detroit to kind of change the outcome of some of their drives once they got down there. Instead of going for 3, they felt they had to go for a touchdown because of time. But once again, you were 1 for 7 in the red zone. And you can't say that Dan Campbell didn't have the boys ready to play. Because as you just heard statistically, they should have blew them out. So they were ready to play. It was just certain aspects of the game that proved detriment. Play calling, which gets me to the second person, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator. I give him 30%. Because the play calling and the strategy, the play calling was bad. It was bad. And the strategy didn't change after something very crucial happened. Tampa Bay lost Vita Vea in the third quarter. That is a big part of their defensive line. Without him in the game, Detroit should have switched up whatever scheme they had going, and they should have started running the ball. Actually, I kind of wondered why they were passing so much. And if you go back and you look at the previous games that Detroit played Tampa Bay, Jared Goff threw a lot. He had very good passing games against Tampa Bay. Um, in the one game that they won 31-23 in the divisional round, um, he was 30 for 44. No, I'm sorry. He was 30 for 43 with 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. When they won in Tampa Bay earlier last year, uh, he was 30 for 44 for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So I kind of understand the game plan, um, because Jared Goff kind of has good games against whatever scheme Tampa Bay is running. But it wasn't trending that way Sunday. And it seemed like they couldn't get the running game going, and that's what Detroit is. Detroit is a running team. Okay, blue collar, we're going to run, smash this ball, we're going to come right at you, okay? And then we're going to play action off that. But that's not the way that game went, not at all. When Vita Vea went out, the whole game plan should have changed. You should have been handing the ball off to Gibbs and Montgomery. And we would have took that game over. Slowly but surely, we would have took the game over. That's not what happened. So we kept passing the ball. And for some reason, we kept running patterns that were short of the sticks, patterns where it looked like it was taking too long for the receivers to get open. We were running patterns to where there was no separation with the defenders. I don't understand the play calls that were called. You knew that your quarterback was getting pressured because he was getting pressured. Like I said, 17 pressures. And it seemed like the passes he was throwing were just terrible. Now, he had 2 picks in the game, but he also had 2 other passes that should have been picks. Granted, one was a pass interference. Okay, it was. But the other 2 that was almost picked, that was clearly on Jared. They were terrible throws, terrible decisions. There were a couple of times he was pressured. He's running out the pocket. He's trying to just get rid of the ball, and it looks like he's throwing the ball right where a defender is. So I don't know what that's about, but that needs to get fixed, and I believe it'll get fixed because Jared hasn't really been that careless with the football. He's normally protective. It just didn't happen this game, and it's very weird. And it's very weird that they didn't try to run when Vita Vea went out. It's just weird, man. It's just weird. And Jared Goff is the one who I blame the most. I give him 50%. Because even though that the scheme didn't change, he ran the plays. He's the quarterback. He has the right to audible into something if he sees something else. But nobody is making him throw them bad passes. Nobody is making him make the bad decisions that he was making. He's been in the league too long and has played in too many important games to look like he's a rookie. He looked like he was a rookie when he was pressured. Like he didn't understand what he had to do or what he was supposed to do. And we can't have that. We can't have that. I don't expect it pretty much anymore because he's not that kind of player. He's normally solid. But this game, it looked like he just didn't understand what he was seeing. And he was so confused. And then when the pressure hit, it was like, I got to get this ball. I'm just going to throw it. And just interception, interception, dropped interception, dropped interception. You know, people want to harbor on the defense. Look, man, this is the NFL. This is a passing league. The defense only gave up 20 points. They gave up a long pass on a mix up on the back end of the defense, and Baker Mayfield scored on the draw play. Okay. But you know what? You dominated statistically, offensively. It was not the defense's fault. As a matter of fact, they got you the ball back twice in the last minute of the game. You know, the first time that we failed in taking the lead in the last minute of the game, when Jared Goff threw short of the sticks and basically we all thought that was the end of the game. Defense held up, 3 and out, got the ball back. 6 straight incompletions from Jared Goff to end the game. 6 straight. Now, Tampa Bay, they're a good team. They're a good team. But if you watch that game, we should have beat them by double digits. And I hope that this game does not come back to haunt us. I really hope it doesn't. Games like this, you can't let go. You can't let that slide. You got to get that win. Because wins, they're too hard in this league. You know, the gap between the best team and the worst team in a football game in the NFL is probably 7, 8 points. You have a double digit win. You have a 10-point win in the NFL. You did something. So these guys, we got to, you got to play better. You got to play better. And I think they will. I think they understand. They know they let one slide. Like I said, Dan Campbell is, saying it was on him, and that is awesome for him to do as a head coach. It was not Dan Campbell's fault. They were ready to play. Statistically, they dominated. They dominated. It goes to me more of the play calling, the plays that was called, and the person executing the play, the leader that was executing those plays, Jared Goff. He was terrible at it. So, next week, Arizona 1-1. Lost a close game to Buffalo, I believe. And they, who they beat? Beat the Rams. Now, I don't know how much you can take from that because both of the Rams receivers, I don't know if they even played. I know Puka didn't. And I think Cooper Kupp, I think he was inactive for that game also. So I don't know how much of a threat the Rams actually was to Arizona that game. But, Connor ran for 122 yards. Kyler Murray threw for 3 touchdowns. So Marvin Harrison had a huge game, had a breakout game. He had a 60-yard touchdown, a 23-yard touchdown, 4 receptions for 130 yards. So, Terry and Arnold, you got another one this week. And look, I don't know. This is one thing. Davis. He was getting cooked. He was getting absolutely cooked. Chris Godwin was lighting him up. I believe all 100 and whatever he had, 117 yards receiving. I believe all of them were in the first half. And every time I saw the replay, I saw Davis chasing him. So that needs to get fixed too. You know, maybe switch up, maybe put Terry and Arnold on him, or maybe you got to bracket somebody when Davis is on him. But we can't let Marvin go off. We can't let Marvin go off. I know Detroit has had a recent history with mobile quarterbacks. I hate playing mobile quarterbacks, man. I hate it. Whether it's Geno, we know what Lamar did to us, and with Geno, it seems like we can't beat them because of him. I hate mobile quarterbacks. I hate it. So hopefully we get this straight. Man, love my Lions, man. Love my Lions. But you can't let wins like this just slip out of your hands. So hopefully they come to play. They get everything straightened out. I know Jared Goff is going to play better. I do. It was good news that St. Brown, everything was negative. I believe it was cramps and something else. But he's got a chance to play this weekend. So I'm hoping that happens. And, the team just played better. Aiden stays hot with the 5 sacks. That's great. That is great. We need some help on the opposite side. That's what we don't need them to start doubling every single play. Right now it's one up, man on man, mano a mano. Then sometimes they're chipping him, and he's working through that. He's getting to the quarterback. So hopefully they can come up with a scheme to free him up a little more. And we'll see what happens. But, I look for Detroit to win this game this Sunday and get back on the right track. I really do. They were very dominating. They were ready to play. I just think, kind of being hard-headed. Ben Johnson was just kind of being hard-headed, and he just wasn't going to go to the running game. And like I said, Jared Goff had 2 good passing games last year against them. But when you see a big piece like Vita Vea go out, you have got to take advantage of that. You've got to take advantage of that, and you got to go in 12 personnel, and you got to just run this ball right at him. You got to take over that way. So we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for joining me. Once again, if you like the video, if you like the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me. Please hit that notification bell. It'll make you aware of the next time I drop a video. And until the next time, you guys stay blessed. Peace out.